Hello YouTube, this is Dan the Philosophy Man. This is Opinion of the Week. It's concerning education reform. Earlier this week I was watching This Week with George Stephanopoulos. He had Newt Gingrich, Alf Sharpton, and Secretary Duncan on his program. They were discussing education reform. One particular part of that discussion had a lot to do with student achievement, and had a very strong opinion towards that. With student achievement would come federal funding. That's essentially what was said, that the government would provide federal funding for schools that started to meet the goal of student achievement. I'd just like to remind anybody who's building a bill or is going to make some kind of education reform, I would like to remind them of a very simple aphorism, a little pearl of wisdom, and that is, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. You can try to teach children to learn, but the instruction has to be reciprocated, and the student has to learn all on their own. And no amount of forcing or writing on a chalkboard or rehearsing some bit of information is going to help children learn, and let alone give them the motivation to achieve. Particular responsibility doesn't rest on schools or teachers. It actually rests on students, and that is a very hard lesson to learn. But the bottom line at the end of the day is that students achieve only to the extent to which they are applying themselves. And to basically leave a school out in the cold without any kind of federal funding just because the students haven't achieved a certain limit or goal would be really cruel. And how is it any more different than No Child Left Behind? You should consider that, whether or not there's an appropriate strategy to encompass those schools that are still not achieving. That remains to be seen. So that's my opinion.